something interesting. Everyone has opinions. You have them about your food, your friends, your neighborhood, the news. Opinions are everywhere. But there is a difference between having an opinion and being able to express it clearly in English. When you have a strong feeling about something and you open your mouth to speak, what happens? For many learners, the words disappear. You know what you think, but you do not know how to say it, not in a way that sounds confident, natural, real. That is what today is about. By the end of this episode, you will have 10 phrases that let you express your opinions clearly, agreeing, disagreeing, seeing both sides, and landing on a conclusion. These are the phrases that turn a feeling into a real conversation. Before we begin, I want you to notice something. Think about day 1. At A1, your vocabulary was built for survival. You learned names, places, basic actions, a chair, a window, a morning, simple words for a simple start. Now you are at day 24, phase 3, B1, intermediate. Look at what today's vocabulary asks you to do. You are not naming things anymore. You are arguing a position. You are acknowledging a counterpoint. You are holding your ground or changing your mind. That is not A1 vocabulary. That is B1 thinking. And you are here. This is what the series is built for. Every episode moves you one step closer to listening fluency, the ability to hear natural English and understand it without translating, without stopping, without stress. Today is one of those steps. Let's take it. It is Saturday morning. Sarah is at her desk. A cup of coffee sits beside her laptop, still warm. Outside her window, June light falls bright and early across the rooftops. Brooklyn is quieter on Saturdays. She likes that. She has been working since 8. A freelance project, a new logo for a small bookshop in Park Slope. She finished the first draft 20 minutes ago, and she is happy with it. Clean lines, warm colors. The client will like it. She opens Instagram. She needs to post. This is part of the job, showing her work, staying visible, letting potential clients find her. She uploads a photo of the logo on a white background, adds a short caption, tags the client, presses share. Done. Then she scrolls. Just for a moment, she thinks, just to see what is new. 15 minutes pass. She sees a designer in Berlin with 50,000 followers whose work looks effortless. She sees someone from high school who just bought a house. She sees an ad for a productivity app. She sees a post about the perfect morning routine with 3,200 comments. She puts her phone face down on the desk. In my opinion, she thinks, that was a waste of time. Let's learn that phrase. In my opinion. This is one of the most common ways to introduce an opinion in English. It is direct but also polite. It signals that what follows is your view, not a fact. You are not telling someone they are wrong. You are telling them how you see it. In my opinion, social media is useful for work. In my opinion, that movie was too long. In my opinion, this neighborhood has changed. Her second thought comes a moment later, quieter. I tend to think this is a me problem, not a platform problem. I tend to think. This phrase is softer than, in my opinion. It suggests you have considered something carefully, but you hold the view lightly. You are open to being wrong. I tend to think social media is just a tool. I tend to think people are more complicated than their posts suggest. Sarah closes her laptop. She puts on her shoes. She needs fresh air, and she needs it now. Prospect Park is 20 minutes from Sarah's apartment on foot. She walks fast, the way she always does. hands in her jacket pockets and eyes forward. The trees along the path are dense with summer green. Families are already spreading blankets on the grass. A loose line of cyclists moves along the main road. Sarah slows down near a bench along the central path. Martin is there. She recognizes him immediately, her neighbor from the third floor, the retired architect. He is sitting very still, looking down at something in his hands. As she gets closer, she sees what it is, a small camera, and he is carefully, slowly loading a roll of film into it. "Martin," she says. He looks up. He smiles, unhurried. "Sarah, good morning. Is that a film camera?" "It is, a Leica from 1972. He holds it out briefly so she can see, then returns to the film. "I come here every Saturday morning. The light between the trees is different depending on the season. I have been photographing this park for 11 years. Sarah sits down on the edge of the bench. "Do you post the photos somewhere? Instagram?" Martin finishes loading the film. He closes the back of the camera with a small, precise click. "No," he says simply. "I print them. Some of them. The ones that deserve it." To be honest, Sarah did not expect that answer. To be honest, this phrase introduces a view that is direct, perhaps more candid than what you said before. It often signals that you are about to say something you genuinely believe, even if it is slightly uncomfortable. To be honest, I spend too much time on my phone. To be honest, I am not sure I agree with that. "So nobody sees them?" Sarah asks. "The people in the room see them," Martin says. He picks up a small manila envelope from the bench beside him and opens it. Inside are a handful of photographs, printed on matte paper. He hands them to her one at a time. They are beautiful. A path through bare winter trees. A child feeding pigeons, slightly blurred at the edges. A puddle reflecting the arch of the park entrance, perfectly still. "These are incredible," Sarah says. Martin says nothing. He raises the camera and photographs the tree line across the path. "Can I ask you something?" Sarah says, still holding the photographs. "Do you think social media is bad? Like, genuinely?" Martin lowers the camera. He considers this. "I would argue that it changes the way people see things," he says. "Not always for the better. When I was posting on Instagram a few years ago now, I noticed I started taking photographs for other people, for the response, not for myself. That changed what I chose to photograph. It changed what I even noticed. I would argue that this phrase is used when you want to make a stronger point, more confident than 'in my opinion.' It implies you have reasons, and you are prepared to defend them. I would argue that good design requires patience. I would argue that the platform changed the work." "I get that," Sarah says, "and you make a valid point. But for me, Instagram is the reason I have clients. I have gotten 2 projects this year just from people finding my page. Without it, I do not know how they would have found me." Make a valid point. This phrase is used when you acknowledge that someone else's argument is strong, even if you do not fully agree with their conclusion. It is a sign of intellectual honesty, and it makes disagreements more respectful. You make a valid point about the timeline. "She made a valid point I had not considered." Martin nods. "That is a real consideration, especially for someone building something independently." He pauses. "On the other hand, I wonder what you lose. Attention, maybe. The ability to sit with a piece of work before showing it to the world." On the other hand, this phrase introduces the opposing view. You have just said one thing, and now you are acknowledging another side. It is essential in any balanced discussion. On the other hand, working alone can be isolating. On the other hand, moving quickly sometimes works out fine. Sarah is quiet for a moment. I'm not convinced that I lose attention, she says slowly. I think I lose time. Those are different things. I'm not convinced that. This is a polite way to disagree. You are not saying the other person is wrong. You are saying their argument has not persuaded you yet. It leaves room for the conversation to continue. I'm not convinced that more data leads to better decisions. I'm not convinced that this is the right approach. That is a good distinction, Martin says quietly. Sarah looks down at the photographs still in her hands. I can see both sides, she says, more to herself than to him. I genuinely can. It helps my work, and it also pulls me away from my own thinking in ways I do not always choose. I can see both sides. This phrase shows that you understand the complexity of an issue. You are not taking a simple position. You are acknowledging that both views have merit, and that is a sign of careful, honest thinking. I can see both sides of the argument about remote work. I can see both sides, but I think one is more practical for me. She hands the photographs back to Martin carefully, one at a time. He slides them into the envelope without looking at them. He already knows what is inside. Sarah walks home slowly. The trees cast long shadows across the path. She passes the spot near the park entrance where she walked alone last Wednesday, weighing a different kind of decision. Brooklyn keeps giving her these moments, she thinks, quiet ones, the kind you only notice if you are paying attention. By the time she reaches her street, she has come to a conclusion. Come to a conclusion. This phrase marks the end of a thinking process. You have weighed different views, considered the evidence, and arrived somewhere. It is the natural end of any good opinion discussion. After thinking it over, I came to a conclusion. We talked for an hour before we came to a conclusion. Sarah's conclusion is not dramatic. It is honest. It depends on two of the most useful words in any opinion conversation. Almost nothing is simply good or simply bad. Context matters. Purpose matters. It depends on how you use something, why you use it, and what you are willing to give up. It depends on the situation. It depends on what you want from it. It depends on who you are and what you need. Sarah sits back at her desk. She opens Instagram. She finds a photograph she took last week, the bookshop she is designing for, early morning light through the window, a stack of old books on the counter. She uploads it, writes a short caption, tags the location, presses share. Then she closes the app. No scrolling, no comparison. Just the work, shown clearly and then done. In my opinion, she thinks, that is the version of this that works for me. Today, Sarah walked to Prospect Park and found Martin on a bench, loading a film camera, photographing the same park for the 11th year in a row. They disagreed. Neither one fully convinced the other. But that is what a good opinion discussion looks like, not a winner and a loser. Two people thinking clearly and leaving with more to consider. Let's review today's vocabulary. In my opinion, your direct view, stated with openness. I tend to think, a softer, more tentative opinion. To be honest, signaling a candid, genuine view. I would argue that, a stronger, more formal position. Make a valid point, acknowledging that someone else is right about something. On the other hand, introducing the opposing view. I'm not convinced that. Polite, thoughtful disagreement. I can see both sides, showing you understand the complexity. It depends on. Adding nuance and conditions. Come to a conclusion. The end of a thinking process. These 10 phrases are your toolkit for any opinion conversation in English. Use them, mix them, practice saying them out loud. Tomorrow is day 25. You are 5 days from the end of this journey. I will see you tomorrow.